cultivating the state of not thinking when you don't actually need to think, so that when you do need to think, your thinking is actually more effective, more powerful, more intelligent, when you are connected with the deeper realm of not thinking, which is the unconditioned consciousness. So in daily life you cultivate as much as possible, just finding brief moments of no thought throughout your daily life. You could associate it with the breath. I call it, the briefest one is one conscious breath, as I call it, which is you breathe in, you breathe out, and while you breathe in and out, just one in-breath, one out-breath, and while you do that, you're just very much aware of the air flowing into the body, the air flowing out of the body. One conscious breath means you're not thinking during that brief moment.
What if I told you that every single anxious thought you've had, every restless night, every moment your brain spiraled out of control, wasn't random, but an attack from an older version of you? Because here's a question no one ever asks. Who benefits from you overthinking? The answer is more sinister than you think. Because the moment your mind spins out, you become blind. Blind to your own power, blind to reality, and blind to the silent war being waged inside you. A war between who you are and who you used to be. And the battlefield is your own mind. So, if you've ever whispered to yourself, I wish I could shut my brain off, stay tuned. Because the spiritual science of overthinking is about to be exposed, and nothing you manifest will ever be the same again. Because a chaotic mind creates a chaotic reality, and that's exactly what they want. What if I told you that overthinking isn't random noise in your head? It's a weapon, a precise weapon deployed against you by a version of yourself that refuses to die. Overthinking is not simply thinking too much. It's spiritual warfare being waged in the shadows of your own mind, a silent coup aiming to sabotage your reality from the inside out. It's how your old frequency, the ghost of who you used to be, keeps you trapped in the same loops year after year. See, here's the twisted part. Your old frequency knows you better than anyone. It knows your fears, your secrets, your soft spots. It knows exactly how to trip the alarms in your nervous system and flood your mind with chaos. Because the moment your thoughts spiral, something critical happens. You forget who you are. An uncontrolled mind creates an uncontrolled reality. And the old frequency knows that as long as it can keep your mind spinning like a roulette wheel, it can keep you locked in the same life you're trying to escape. Overthinking is not a random flaw in your biology. It's a precision strike, a last-ditch effort by your past self to stay alive. Because all frequencies, especially the old ones, fight to keep existing, and they'll do it at any cost. Every time you think, I wish I could stop these thoughts, or my mind is racing beyond my control, that's your old frequency, whispering in your ear, feeding you a lie. Because the truth is this: even when you're overthinking, it's still you who's doing the thinking. Your mind is never truly outside your control, but the old frequency projects an illusion. It creates a smokescreen of panic and noise to convince you otherwise. Because reality has no truths except the ones your subconscious accepts. Let that sink in. If your subconscious accepts the idea that your mind is out of control, then your entire life will appear out of control. Not because you're broken, but because your mind is following the orders of the frequencies you've allowed to rule it. That's the real game. So every time your thoughts race and collide like a freeway at rush hour, understand this: it's not random. It's the old frequency launching a counterattack because you're getting too close to the truth. And the truth is, the old frequency is terrified. It knows that if you regain control of your mind, it dies. It's a spiritual parasite feeding off your past patterns. It wants you to keep thinking like the old you, feeling like the old you, living like the old you. Because if you evolve, if you align your frequency to the future you're meant for, that old frequency can't survive. So it fights dirty. It floods your mind with mental static. It spins hypothetical arguments, imagined failures, fears that don't even exist. It creates problems where none existed. Because the moment you believe you're powerless, you give up the keys to your reality. This is why overthinking is so deadly. It's not just wasted time. It's a deliberate hijack of your creative power. It's how the old frequency plants seeds of chaos in your subconscious, which then bloom into chaos in your life. Because what you allow inside will eventually show up outside. As within, so without. Every frequency wants to manifest itself. So if the old frequency survives inside you, it will keep materializing a life that matches its vibration. Your same worries, your same money problems, your same relationships, your same self-doubt. Round and round the hamster wheel goes. That's why overthinking is the perfect weapon. It makes you doubt your own decisions. It paralyzes you before big moves. It keeps you questioning. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not enough? And while you're spinning in your head, the old frequency keeps its grip. So understand this: overthinking isn't just mental chatter. It's spiritual sabotage. It's your past trying to steal your future. But once you know the truth, you become dangerous. Because the truth is, your mind is never outside your control. Even at your most chaotic, you hold the power to stop the spiral. Because nothing in your reality can exist separately from you. Everything unfolds from within. Write that down, because in the next chapter, we're going deeper. And we're going to expose the precise moment when overthinking begins its attack. Because the old frequency has a playbook. And once you learn it, you can burn it. Let's rip open the curtain and look at how this silent attack begins. Because overthinking doesn't just show up one day and kick your door in. It's built, piece by piece, thought by thought. It begins with something so small, so innocent, that most people never see it coming. Unfinished thoughts. We're living in the 21st century, a world obsessed with speed. Your brain is bombarded every second. Messages, alerts, news headlines screaming fear, endless scrolling, constant comparison, deadlines you can't keep up with. And your mind jumps from one thing to the next, like a frog on a hot skillet. But here's the danger nobody talks about. When you jump from thought to thought, you never finish processing any of them. It's like trying to run 50 apps on your phone at the same time until the battery explodes. Every half-finished thought becomes an open tab in your mental browser. And eventually, your brain starts to lag. Think about your morning. You wake up late. You're brushing your teeth thinking about that email you forgot to send. You're halfway through your shower, wondering if you left the stove on. You're in the car, cursing the driver ahead of you for going 5 miles under the speed limit. The light turns red. Your blood pressure spikes. And in all that chaos, not a single thought gets closure. Your brain stacks each unfinished thought like pages shoved into a filing cabinet. And here's the dark secret. Those thoughts don't disappear. They just get buried, waiting. Each unfinished thought becomes a potential landmine, a seed of chaos, primed to explode the next time you're vulnerable. Because when the mind is full, it has to unload somehow. So when you're alone, quiet, or about to make a major move in life, those buried thoughts come screaming back. That's when overthinking strikes. A mind that overthinks is simply a mind that's overfilled. Write that down. Scientists estimate we have anywhere from 4,000 to 40,000 thoughts every single day. Imagine how many of those remain unfinished, day after day, week after week, year after year. Those mental cabinets fill up, the drawers start bulging, the lock bends under the pressure, until finally it bursts open, and all that mental clutter spills out, drowning your clarity. Suddenly, you're lying in bed, exhausted, staring at the ceiling, thinking, why can't I shut my mind off? Because your mind is trying to process everything it never finished. It's like trying to untangle a million wires all knotted together. And the more you try to control it, the worse it spins. Because control isn't the problem. Overflow is. So you tell yourself, I'll figure it out tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and the pile is even bigger. This is the trap. Unfinished thoughts accumulate silently. They don't scream at you while they're building up. They wait. Then, in a moment of stillness, they flood back all at once. This is why so many people can't sit still in silence. Why they avoid quiet, like it's radioactive. Because silence forces all the unfinished files to rise from the depths of your subconscious. And that's terrifying. But here's the brutal truth. Those unfinished thoughts, they're the real architects of your reality. Because they carry frequencies, emotions, beliefs, mental blueprints. And those frequencies materialize your outer world. If your mental cabinet is stuffed with chaos, your reality will reflect chaos. As within, so without. Every moment you overthink, you're not just torturing yourself mentally. You're broadcasting a frequency into the quantum field, and the universe has no choice but to mirror it back. This is why some people keep repeating the same relationships, the same financial ceilings, the same struggles. Not because they're cursed, but because their mind is drowning in unfinished frequencies that keep replicating reality on autopilot. So understand this. Overthinking is not about random thoughts. It's about unresolved frequencies. Every time you find yourself spiraling, ask, what unfinished thought is trying to surface right now? Because until you identify and process those hidden files, you'll keep living the same patterns. Different jobs, different cities, different partners, same chaos, and the old frequency loves it. Because as long as you stay buried in mental clutter, you'll never become clear enough to transform. Clarity is lethal to the old frequency, because clarity burns away all illusions. So the old frequency makes sure your mental cabinet stays jammed full. And if it can keep you mentally overfilled, it keeps you spiritually trapped. So remember, overthinking begins as unfinished thoughts. Unfinished thoughts become frequencies. Frequencies become reality. And reality becomes your cage. In the next chapter, we'll expose how the old frequency times its attacks with surgical precision, because it never strikes randomly. It waits for the moment you're closest to breaking free. Now let's talk about the timing. Because the old frequency doesn't just attack you whenever. It's patient. It's calculated. It's strategic. It waits until the exact moment. when you're about to change your life, when you're standing on the cliff edge, ready to jump into a new reality. That's when it strikes. Think about it. How many times have you felt inspired, fired up, ready to take a big step, only to find your mind suddenly flooding you with doubts, fears, and worst-case scenarios? It's not coincidence. It's a coordinated ambush. Because the old frequency senses that you're about to escape its gravitational pull. It can feel the shift in your vibration. It knows you're about to level up. And that's the moment it panics. So it deploys its sharpest weapon, overthinking. It starts planting landmines in your mind. Are you sure you're qualified enough for that job? Why would they pick you over someone else? What if you fail and look stupid? Why take the risk at all? Stay safe. And just like that, you're paralyzed. Instead of stepping forward, you step back. Instead of calling that client, approaching that person, making that move, you stay exactly where you are. Mission accomplished for the old frequency. Because here's the twisted brilliance of its strategy. Every time you overthink, it makes you feel like you're protecting yourself, like you're being cautious, like you're planning ahead. But that's a lie. Overthinking doesn't protect you. It delays you. It's procrastination disguised as wisdom. It's fear wearing the mask of logic. Because while you're stuck in endless mental loops, your life stands still, and the old frequency breathes a sigh of relief. Because it knows as long as it can keep you thinking, it can stop you from doing. Because action is lethal to the old frequency. Action is how you tear through illusions. Action is how you break the hypnotic spell. Because action is proof you believe a new reality is possible. But if the old frequency can trap you in thought, it knows one thing: you'll never move. This is why every time you're about to do something transformative, something that could alter the course of your life forever, that's the exact moment your brain goes haywire. Think about it. You're about to pitch your idea. Suddenly, your mind is screaming, what if they hate it? What if I forget what to say? What if they laugh at me? Or you're about to approach someone you're attracted to, and instantly, the mental static explodes. I'm not good looking enough. They're probably taken. What if I embarrass myself? Or you're about to launch your business, and your brain hits you with, what if I lose money? What if nobody buys? What if I'm not cut out for this? None of these thoughts were there 5 minutes earlier. They arrive precisely when you're standing at the threshold. Because the old frequency knows, if you cross that threshold, it dies. So it hits you with every mental weapon it has. It manufactures imaginary obstacles. It conjures phantom dangers. It bombards you with what-ifs. So many what-ifs. You drown in them. Until you convince yourself, now isn't the right time. But there is no perfect time. The only perfect time is now. And the old frequency knows it. So it stalls you. Because if you stay still, it survives. Understand this. Every time you overthink, you're standing on the brink of transformation. Write that down. Overthinking doesn't happen when nothing important is on the line. It strikes when everything is. Because the old frequency can smell your progress. It senses your evolution. It knows you're inches away from rewriting the script of your life. And that terrifies it. Because the old frequency isn't just a collection of thoughts. It's an entire identity. It's who you've been. It's every belief, fear, trauma, and limitation fused into one energetic blueprint. And if you break free, it ceases to exist. So it fights with everything it's got, not because it's evil, but because its survival depends on keeping you the same. Here's the brutal truth. The old frequency doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about staying alive. And if it has to drown you in anxiety, self-doubt, and fear to achieve that, it will. So the next time your mind explodes with overthinking, don't see it as a problem. See it as a sign. It means you're right there, right on the edge of your next level. And the old frequency is terrified you're about to take the leap. Because the moment you do, it loses its grip. And that is why overthinking exists. It's not random. It's a precision strike. A spiritual counterattack designed to keep you trapped in your old identity. But once you see the game, you can beat it. And in the next chapter, we're going to expose exactly how to disarm the old frequency's biggest weapon and reclaim the power to create the reality you truly want. Now let's shatter the biggest lie of them all, that your mind can ever truly be out of your control. Because that's the ultimate illusion the old frequency wants you to believe. Think about it. The moment you say, "I can't control my thoughts," you've already handed over your power. You've signed the deed to your own reality and given it to your past. That single belief that your mind has a mind of its own is how the old frequency traps you in its web. But let's expose the truth. Even when your mind feels like a tornado ripping through your skull, it's still you, doing the thinking. No outside force can jump into your head and spin your thoughts for you. The old frequency can influence you, but it can't control you. That's why it uses deception. It bombards you with thoughts so fast, so relentless, that you start believing the chaos is bigger than you. But it's not, because the real law of the universe is this: nothing exists in your reality except what unfolds from you. Write that down. Your mind is the central broadcasting tower. Every thought, every belief, every vibration emanates outward like a signal, and the universe simply mirrors it back. So the idea that your mind is out of control? It's a hypnotic suggestion implanted by the old frequency. Because here's how it works. If you accept the illusion that you're powerless, you'll stop trying to change your life. You'll stop taking risks. You'll stay stuck. Because powerless people don't move mountains. And that's exactly what the old frequency wants. For you to remain small. For you to stay quiet. For you to keep living the same day over and over. Because if you ever realize the truth, that you're the one steering the ship, the old frequency becomes obsolete. So let's burn this into your mind. Even when you're overthinking, it's still you behind the wheel. The old frequency can whisper suggestions. It can drop doubts into your mind like poison. But it can't force you to believe them. That choice is always yours. Let me repeat that. Nothing in your reality can exist separately from you. If you believe your mind is beyond your control, your world will reflect chaos. But if you decide, "I am the master of my mind," the entire universe begins to shift, because the old frequency has no power over conviction. Conviction cuts through illusions like a blade. So the next time you're caught in a spiral, remember, overthinking is an illusion. An illusion projected by an old identity desperate to survive. But illusions only work if you believe in them. And in the next chapter, we're going to break the cycle for good. We're going to expose the antidote that dissolves overthinking at its source, because the path to freedom is simpler than you think. Here's the paradox that no one teaches you. The way to conquer overthinking is to do nothing. Sounds insane, right? In a world obsessed with hustling and grinding and constant motion, doing nothing feels like weakness. But it's not. It's power. Because here's the real secret. Overthinking is the result of unfinished thoughts. And the only way to finish those thoughts is to stop running from them. Most people keep themselves endlessly busy for one reason. They're terrified of silence. Because in silence, the unfinished files start to surface. All the suppressed emotions, all the unresolved questions, all the memories they've buried under layers of noise, rise up like ghosts demanding to be seen. So they drown it out. Music blasting, podcasts playing, phones buzzing, scroll, scroll, scroll. Anything to avoid being alone with the noise. But that's exactly why overthinking never ends. Because those unfinished thoughts are like debts you never paid. They don't disappear. They accumulate interest until eventually they bankrupt your mind. So let's redefine power. Power is the ability to sit still and face your thoughts. Because here's what happens when you do. Imagine your mind like a pond. If you keep stirring the water, the mud at the bottom swirls up, clouding everything. But if you stay still, the water settles, the mud sinks, clarity emerges. That's what happens when you stop running. At first, your mind screams. Random thoughts explode. You're amazing. You're worthless. Why did that guy look at you like that? What's for dinner? All the noise you've been suppressing finally has room to come up. Most people think, if I'm meditating and my mind is noisy, I'm failing. That's a lie. A noisy mind during meditation isn't failure. It's the process working. Because those thoughts are finally surfacing so they can complete themselves. They're demanding closure. The only way to shut off the mental chaos is to let it finish. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Don't engage with it. Just observe. Your thoughts are not you. They're visitors passing through your mental sky. You don't have to answer every knock at the door. Because here's the truth. No thought is real. Except the ones you choose to accept. Write that down. When you sit still and do nothing, two powerful things happen. One, you allow unfinished thoughts to complete themselves. Two, you give yourself access to the subconscious mind, because stillness drops your brain waves from beta into alpha and theta. And that's where real transformation happens. It's where new beliefs get planted. It's where the old frequency loses its grip. This principle isn't new. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is the doorway to the infinite, because you can't connect to the divine if your mind is drowning in chaos. So here's your task. Every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, an hour, sit in silence. Let the thoughts come. Let them finish. Because once they're finished, they release their hold on your reality. Your frequency becomes singular. Your path becomes clear. And overthinking dissolves like fog under sunlight. In the next chapter, we're going to expose how the old frequency uses one final trick, perfectionism, to keep you trapped. Because even after you silence the noise, it's got one last card up its sleeve. And if you're not ready for it, you'll fall right back into the spiral. Let's talk about the old frequency's final, deadliest trick. Because even after you start finishing your thoughts, even after you embrace stillness, the old frequency has one last grenade it's dying to throw: perfectionism. See, perfectionism sounds noble. It wears a disguise. It whispers, don't move until it's flawless. Wait until you're absolutely ready. Tweak it a little more, just to be safe. It makes you feel sophisticated, meticulous, wise. But here's the ugly truth. Perfectionism is fear in a tuxedo. It's the old frequency's way of keeping you frozen while pretending you're being responsible. Because if it can't keep you trapped in chaos, it'll try to trap you in endless refinement. Perfectionism is spiritual quicksand. The more you struggle for perfect, the deeper you sink. Because here's how it plays out. You decide to launch your business. You design your website. Then you think, the colors aren't quite right, so you change them. Then you wonder, is my bio powerful enough? So you rewrite it. Then you panic. My photos look amateur. So you hire a new photographer. Months pass. Your idea rots on the shelf. Not because it wasn't ready, but because you convinced yourself you weren't. Or you want to create content. You write your script, but you hear the old frequency whisper, this isn't good enough. You should research more. What if people criticize you? So you scrap it. You start over. Again, and again, and again, until eventually you create nothing. Understand this. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's about fear of exposure. The old frequency knows that as long as you're stuck trying to perfect everything, you'll never launch. You'll never risk rejection. You'll never stand out. You'll stay invisible. And the old frequency loves invisibility because invisibility means safety. No risk, no pain, no change, but also no progress. Perfectionism is an energetic loop designed to keep you circling the runway and never taking off. Write that down. Here's the real reason perfectionism is so deadly. Perfectionism creates fragmentation. Your energy splits in 1,000 directions. Should I do it this way or that way? What will people think? Is this really the right time? All those mental branches weaken your frequency. Instead of one focused beam of power, your energy becomes scattered static. And the universe can't read static. It only responds to singularity. Because a fragmented frequency materializes nothing. Singularity manifests everything. So the cure for perfectionism is this: be it now. Don't strive for perfection. Be the version of yourself who already has it. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't wake up debating, should I brush today? Should I start on the left side? Is my technique perfect? You just do it, because you're already the person who values clean teeth. That's the same mindset you must bring to your goals. When you're aligned, action flows naturally. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't demand perfection. It just happens. So here's your new mantra. When I am aligned, it is natural. Because if something feels forced, if you're obsessing over every detail, it's a sign you're not being. You're stuck in doing. And when you're stuck in doing, the old frequency is winning. So every time you catch yourself trying to make something perfect, ask, am I striving or am I being? If you're striving, pause, center yourself, align your frequency, then move forward from the identity of someone who already is what they want to become. Because the universe doesn't respond to your perfectionism. It responds to your conviction. And conviction doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them. So remember, perfectionism is the old frequency's last desperate play. It's a trap designed to keep you on the sidelines of your own life. Don't fall for it. Because the version of you who already lives your dream reality doesn't need perfect. They just need you to act. In the next chapter, we're going to reveal how overthinking connects to your past and why healing it means rewriting the timeline of your own subconscious mind. because time is not what you think it is. Now, we're going to tear open one of the biggest secrets hidden in plain sight. Time is an illusion, and nowhere is that more obvious than inside your own mind. See, most people believe overthinking is all about the future. What if this happens? What if they say no? What if I'm not good enough? But the truth, half the time, your overthinking is about the past, replaying old scenes on an endless mental projector. I should have said this. Why did I let them treat me like that? If only I'd done things differently. It's like living inside a prison made of your own memories. But here's the part no one ever tells you. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between past, present, or future. To the subconscious, everything is now. Read that again. Every memory you replay, every regret you relive, every guilt-soaked scene you keep running in your head. Your subconscious experiences it like it's happening in this very moment. That's why your body can tense up just remembering an argument from 10 years ago. Why your stomach drops thinking about a moment of embarrassment from childhood. It's because your subconscious can't tell time. So whenever you keep reliving the past, you're not just remembering it, you're re-experiencing it energetically, emotionally, biologically. You're pouring fuel into an old frequency and keeping it alive. This is why certain patterns keep repeating in your life. The same kinds of relationships, the same money struggles, the same career plateaus. It's not random. It's because your subconscious is stuck broadcasting the frequency of an unresolved past. Because here's the brutal truth. Your subconscious mind doesn't care what's true. It only cares what's repeated and what's charged with emotion. Emotion is the currency that buys reality. Write that down. So every time you keep replaying that past scene, that betrayal, that breakup, that failure, you're emotionally investing in it, and your subconscious takes the hint. This is who we are. This is what we keep experiencing. So it shapes your reality to match. That's why the past keeps bleeding into your present, because energetically, it never ended. And the old frequency loves that. Because the more you stay fused to your past, the less power you have to create your future. So it keeps throwing those memories at you. Remember when they humiliated you? Remember when you failed? Remember how painful it was? The old frequency wants you trapped in that timeline forever. Because if you're stuck there, you'll never transform. But here's the revelation. You can change the past, not in the physical world, but in the only place that truly matters, your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious doesn't care whether an experience is real or imagined. It accepts whatever you feed it. This is why visualization works. Why athletes rehearse winning moments in their minds. Why spiritual masters talk about imagining the reality you desire. Because the subconscious cannot distinguish between memory and imagination. It responds only to repetition and emotion. So here's how you reclaim power over the past. Go into stillness. Revisit the memory that haunts you and rewrite it. If you botched a job interview, see yourself walking out with a smile, handshake firm, offer letter in your hand. Feel the relief, the pride, the triumph. If someone betrayed you, see yourself stronger, empowered, untouchable. Feel gratitude that they revealed who they truly were. Because the moment you change the emotional charge, you change the frequency. And when you change the frequency, you change what your subconscious broadcasts into your reality. This is how you break the loop. This is how you dissolve the chains of an old timeline. So remember, overthinking about the past is your subconscious asking for closure. It's trying to finish a story, give it a new ending. Because once you do, the past loses its power. The old frequency loses its anchor, and you become free to create a present and a future untethered by ghosts. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about singularity versus fragmentation and why your energy must become a laser beam if you ever want to create the reality you desire, because scattered energy is wasted power. Now let's talk about a secret that separates those who manifest their desires and those who keep spinning in circles: singularity. See, the old frequency has a master strategy to keep you trapped. It's called fragmentation. Fragmentation is when your mind splits into 1,000 competing directions. Should I do this or that? What if this goes wrong? Maybe I should wait. It's like trying to run 20 apps on your phone at once and watching the battery drain faster than it can charge. Every fragmented thought dilutes your energy. Instead of a focused laser beam slicing through reality, your power scatters like a flashlight across a foggy room. And scattered energy manifests nothing, because here's the cosmic rule: energy creates form. If your energy is fragmented, your reality stays chaotic. Nothing takes shape. Nothing solidifies. You get a taste of results, but nothing sticks. This is why people keep seeing temporary improvements in life, only to snap back to old patterns. It's not because they're weak. It's because their frequency is fragmented. Write that down. The old frequency loves fragmentation, because as long as your mind is bouncing between 10 possibilities, it knows you'll never fully commit to one. And without commitment, there's no creation. So the old frequency keeps feeding you new fears, new doubts, new questions. What if it doesn't work? What if people think you're crazy? What if you lose everything? Each question branches off into another mental pathway, and another, until your energy looks like a shattered window, 1,000 cracks running in every direction. But here's the truth. To create the reality you want, your frequency must become singular. All your mental, emotional, and spiritual power, focused like a single blade, because the universe doesn't respond to confusion. It responds to conviction. Singularity is when every vibration inside you sings the same note. No inner debate, no hidden conflict, just one pure, thunderous signal that tells reality exactly what to reflect back. That's why people who manifest quickly often say, "I just knew it was going to happen." It's not luck, it's singularity. The old frequency can't survive singularity, because singularity exposes it. It has nowhere left to hide. So how do you achieve it? You cut off the noise. Every time your mind starts splintering into what ifs, you ask, what reality do I choose? And you decide. You decide with your whole being. Because here's the truth. Indecision is a decision. When you hesitate, you choose the old frequency by default, because the old frequency thrives in hesitation. Hesitation is its feeding ground. So the next time your mind starts branching into confusion, visualize every scattered thought converging into a single line of light. Feel all your energy collapsing into one point, a singularity, like a star imploding before it becomes a supernova. Because from that singularity, all creation begins. It's the Big Bang of your new reality. This is why overthinking is so dangerous, because it fractures your energy. It splits your mind into endless possibilities that never materialize. And the universe looks at your fragmented frequency and says, I don't know what to create for you, because you're sending mixed signals. One moment, you're confident. The next, you're afraid. One moment, you want to start. The next, you want to wait. And the universe, like an obedient mirror, reflects your indecision right back. So nothing changes. Understand this. The old frequency wants you scattered, because scattered people never leave the prison. But when you choose singularity, you become unstoppable. Singularity creates clarity. Clarity creates conviction. And conviction commands reality. Write that down. So every time overthinking tries to fragment your mind, pull yourself back to one question. Who do I choose to be right now? Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, because the version of you who has everything you desire already lives in singularity. And in the next chapter, we're going to expose how all of this comes together and why your overthinking has been secretly protecting your old identity all along. Because the real enemy isn't the chaos in your mind. It's the identity you're afraid to leave behind. Now let's get ruthless about the truth. Overthinking isn't just mental noise. It's a guardian, a bodyguard standing at the gates of your old identity, protecting it at all costs. Think about it. Why do you overthink the most, right before you're about to change? Because the identity you've been living, the version of you shaped by your past, your traumas, your old beliefs, wants to survive. Your old identity is terrified of your evolution, because if you become someone new, if you step into the frequency of who you're meant to be, the old identity dies. So it sends overthinking as a final line of defense. Because here's the brutal truth. All identities fight for their own survival. Write that down. Overthinking is how your old self whispers, don't do it. Stay here where it's safe. It's too risky to change. But let's rip away the comfort and look at it for what it is, a prison guard in disguise. Your old identity doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if you're wealthy, fulfilled, or in love. It only cares about staying familiar. Because to your subconscious mind, familiar equals safe. Even if familiar means chaos, pain, scarcity, loneliness. Your subconscious would rather keep you in a reality you hate than risk stepping into the unknown. Because the unknown feels like death to the old frequency. So every time you decide, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to speak my truth, the old frequency hits the panic button. Cue the mental assault. Are you sure you're qualified? What if people judge you? What if you fail and lose everything? Overthinking doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It's triggered. And the trigger is your decision to evolve. Because the moment you choose transformation, you threaten the old identity's existence. So the old frequency weaponizes your mind. It floods you with worst-case scenarios. It manufactures fake problems. It spins endless hypothetical disasters. Because it knows one thing. If it can keep you thinking, it can stop you from acting. And if you never act, the old identity survives. That's why the spiral of overthinking feels so powerful. Because it's not just mental. It's spiritual warfare. It's your old frequency battling for its life. Understand this. Overthinking is not who you are. It's a defense mechanism designed to keep you in the identity you've outgrown. Because every time you identify as, I'm just an overthinker, you cement yourself into that old frequency. And the old identity breathes easy. because it knows you'll stay trapped right where you've always been. But here's the power move. The moment you recognize overthinking as a tactic, the moment you say, "This is just my old frequency trying to keep me small," everything changes because you separate yourself from the spiral. You stop seeing overthinking as your identity. You start seeing it as an attack, and attacks can be defended against. So the next time you're drowning in mental noise, pause. Ask yourself, what is my old frequency trying to protect right now? Is it trying to protect your fear of being seen? Your fear of rejection? Your fear of success? Because every overthinking spiral is hiding the same secret. Your old identity is terrified you'll discover how powerful you truly are. Because once you see the game is over. This is why the old frequency fights so hard. Because it knows, if you stop identifying as an overthinker, if you claim your authority over your mind, if you step into singularity, you become unstoppable. So remember, overthinking isn't you. It's the dying gasp of a reality you're leaving behind. Don't mistake its voice for your own. Because in the next chapter, we're going to talk about the final step, action, and why the cure for overthinking is not just mental mastery, but the willingness to move forward even when your mind screams you're not ready. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking. Clarity comes from doing. Imagine being in a pitch-black room. You can stand there all day thinking, what if there's a wall in front of me? What if there's a hole in the floor? What if I bump into something? Or you can take one step. Suddenly, you feel the ground under your foot. You learn something real. And with each step, the darkness recedes. That's how clarity works. It's not mental, it's experiential. Every step forward reveals the next. So if you're waiting to feel ready before you move, you'll wait forever. Because readiness is an illusion created by the old frequency to keep you stuck. Understand this. It's easy to overthink when you underdo. Write that down. Overthinking fills the space where action should be. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. Because acting feels risky. It means putting yourself out there. It means leaving the safety of the familiar. But the familiar is killing you slowly. The only way out is through. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. The smallest action is a declaration of war against the old frequency. Send the email, make the call, walk up and introduce yourself, post the video, apply for the job, even if your voice shakes, even if your mind screams, stop, because every step forward changes your frequency. It collapses the old timeline. It signals to your subconscious, we're not that person anymore. And the universe responds, because action is the bridge between your inner world and the physical world. It's how you midwife your frequency into reality. Without action, your desires remain locked in the spiritual realm. Ideas, dreams, blueprints, but never form. So the next time you feel the spiral starting, don't try to think your way out. Move. Do something, even if it's small. Because the instant you act, overthinking loses its grip. Because now, you're no longer trapped in hypothetical hell. You're engaged with reality. And reality always reveals the truth. You're far more powerful than your fears. So remember, overthinking is a cage made of thoughts. Action is the key that unlocks the door. In the final chapter, we're going to tie it all together and deliver the ultimate truth about why the spiritual science of overthinking might be the single greatest battle of your life. Because your mind isn't just a battlefield. It's the birthplace of your entire reality. Let's get one thing brutally clear. You cannot outthink overthinking. Read that again. Because the lie you've been sold is this: if I just figure it all out in my head, I'll finally feel ready. But here's the problem. The mind that created the spiral can't solve the spiral. It's like trying to mop up water with a leaking bucket. Your old frequency wants you trapped in endless mental chess, thinking about thinking, planning your plans, rehearsing your conversations, but never moving. Because the old frequency knows one truth: action is lethal to the past. Write that down. Action exposes illusions. Action proves the monsters in your head aren't real. Action shatters the grip of the old identity. Because it's physical evidence that you're stepping into someone new. See, your mind can lie to you all day. It can invent endless worst-case scenarios. It can convince you you're not ready. But reality doesn't lie. Once you act, you see the truth. People don't hate you. You can handle the pitch. The world doesn't explode if you post that video. You are capable. And every step you take, even the tiniest, drains the power from the old frequency. Here's the paradox. Most people think they have to wait for clarity before taking action. But the truth is, clarity comes from action. Imagine being in a pitch-black room. You can stand there all day thinking, what if there's a wall in front of me? What if there's a hole in the floor? What if I bump into something? Or you can take one step. Suddenly, you feel the ground under your foot. You learn something real. And with each step, the darkness recedes. That's how clarity works. It's not mental. It's experiential. Every step forward reveals the next. So if you're waiting to feel ready before you move, you'll wait forever. Because readiness is an illusion created by the old frequency to keep you stuck. Understand this. It's easy to overthink when you underdo. Write that down. Overthinking fills the space where action should be. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. Because acting feels risky. It means putting yourself out there. It means leaving the safety of the familiar. But the familiar is killing you slowly. The only way out is through. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. The smallest action is a declaration of war against the old frequency. Send the email. Make the call. Walk up and introduce yourself. Post the video. Apply for the job. Even if your voice shakes, even if your mind screams, stop. Because every step forward changes your frequency. It collapses the old timeline. It signals to your subconscious, we're not that person anymore. And the universe responds. Because action is the bridge between your inner world and the physical world. It's how you midwife your frequency into reality. Without action, your desires remain locked in the spiritual realm. Ideas, dreams, blueprints, but never form. So the next time you feel the spiral starting, don't try to think your way out. Move. Do something, even if it's small. Because the instant you act, overthinking loses its grip. Because now you're no longer trapped in hypothetical hell. You're engaged with reality, and reality always reveals the truth. You're far more powerful than your fears. So remember, overthinking is a cage made of thoughts. Action is the key that unlocks the door. In the final chapter, we're going to tie it all together and deliver the ultimate truth about why the spiritual science of overthinking might be the single greatest battle of your life. Because your mind isn't just a battlefield, It's the birthplace of your entire reality. Let's get one thing brutally clear. You cannot outthink overthinking. Read that again. Because the lie you've been sold is this: if I just figure it all out in my head, I'll finally feel ready. But here's the problem. The mind that created the spiral can't solve the spiral. It's like trying to mop up water with a leaking bucket. Your old frequency wants you trapped in endless mental chess, thinking about thinking, planning your plans, rehearsing your conversations, but never moving. Because the old frequency knows one truth: action is lethal to the past. Write that down. Action exposes illusions. Action proves the monsters in your head aren't real. Action shatters the grip of the old identity because it's physical evidence that you're stepping into someone new. See, your mind can lie to you all day. It can invent endless worst-case scenarios. It can convince you you're not ready. But reality doesn't lie. Once you act, you see the truth. People don't hate you. You can handle the pitch. The world doesn't explode if you post that video. You are capable. And every step you take, even the tiniest, drains the power from the old frequency. Here's the paradox. Most people think they have to wait for clarity before taking action. But the truth is, clarity comes from action. Imagine being in a pitch-black room. You can stand there all day thinking, what if there's a wall in front of me? What if there's a hole in the floor? What if I bump into something? Or you can take one step. Suddenly you feel the ground under your foot. You learn something real. And with each step, the darkness recedes. That's how clarity works. It's not mental. It's experiential. Every step forward reveals the next. So if you're waiting to feel ready before you move, you'll wait forever. Because readiness is an illusion created by the old frequency to keep you stuck. Understand this. It's easy to overthink when you underdo. Write that down. Overthinking fills the space where action should be. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. Because acting feels risky. It means putting yourself out there. It means leaving the safety of the familiar. But the familiar is killing you slowly. The only way out is through. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. The smallest action is a declaration of war against the old frequency. Because every step forward changes your frequency. It collapses the old timeline. It signals to your subconscious, we're not that person anymore. And the universe responds. Because action is the bridge between your inner world and the physical world. It's how you midwife your frequency into reality. Without action, your desires remain locked in the spiritual realm. Ideas, dreams, blueprints, but never form. So the next time you feel the spiral starting, don't try to think your way out. Move. Do something, even if it's small. Because the instant you act, overthinking loses its grip. Because now you're no longer trapped in hypothetical hell. You're engaged with reality, and reality always reveals the truth. You're far more powerful than your fears. So remember, overthinking is a cage made of thoughts. Action is the key that unlocks the door. In the final chapter, we're going to tie it all together and deliver the ultimate truth about why the spiritual science of overthinking might be the single greatest battle of your life. Because your mind isn't just a battlefield, it's the birthplace of your entire reality. Let's get one thing brutally clear. You cannot outthink overthinking. Read that again. Because the lie you've been sold is this: if I just figure it all out in my head, I'll finally feel ready. But here's the problem. The mind that created the spiral can't solve the spiral. It's like trying to mop up water with a leaking bucket. Your old frequency wants you trapped in endless mental chess, thinking about thinking, planning your plans, rehearsing your conversations, but never moving. Because the old frequency knows one truth: action is lethal to the past. Write that down. Action exposes illusions. Action proves the monsters in your head aren't real. Action shatters the grip of the old identity. Because it's physical evidence that you're stepping into someone new. See, your mind can lie to you all day. It can invent endless worst-case scenarios. It can convince you you're not ready. But reality doesn't lie. Once you act, you see the truth. People don't hate you. You can handle the pitch. The world doesn't explode if you post that video. You are capable. And every step you take, even the tiniest, drains the power from the old frequency. Here's the paradox. Most people think they have to wait for clarity before taking action. But the truth is, clarity comes from action. Imagine being in a pitch-black room. You can stand there all day thinking, what if there's a wall in front of me? What if there's a hole in the floor? What if I bump into something? Or you can take one step. Suddenly you feel the ground under your foot. You learn something real. And with each step, the darkness recedes. That's how clarity works. It's not mental, it's experiential. Every step forward reveals the next. So if you're waiting to feel ready before you move, you'll wait forever. Because readiness is an illusion created by the old frequency to keep you stuck. Understand this. It's easy to overthink when you underdo. Write that down. Overthinking fills the space where action should be. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. Because acting feels risky. It means putting yourself out there. It means leaving the safety of the familiar. But the familiar is killing you slowly. The only way out is through. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. The smallest action is a declaration of war against the old frequency. Send the email. Make the call. Walk up and introduce yourself. Post the video. Apply for the job. Even if your voice shakes. Even if your mind screams, stop. Because every step forward changes your frequency. It collapses the old timeline. It signals to your subconscious, we're not that person anymore. And the universe responds. Because action is the bridge between your inner world and the physical world. It's how you midwife your frequency into reality. Without action, your desires remain locked in the spiritual realm. Ideas, dreams, blueprints, but never form. So the next time you feel the spiral starting, don't try to think your way out. Move. Do something, even if it's small. Because the instant you act, overthinking loses its grip. Because now, you're no longer trapped in hypothetical hell. You're engaged with reality, and reality always reveals the truth. You're far more powerful than your fears. So remember, overthinking is a cage made of thoughts. Action is the key that unlocks the door. In the final chapter, we're going to tie it all together and deliver the ultimate truth about why the spiritual science of overthinking might be the single greatest battle of your life. Because your mind isn't just a battlefield, it's the birthplace of your entire reality. Let's not sugarcoat it. This entire war you're fighting isn't just about quieting your mind. It's about who you're going to become. Because overthinking isn't random noise. It's the echo of an old world, the dying breath of a reality you're outgrowing. Your old frequency knows this. That's why it fights so savagely. It knows that if you ever truly understand this one truth, Your mind creates your world. It's game over. The old frequency loses all power because everything begins and ends with your mind. Every relationship, every dollar in your bank account, every opportunity or missed one. Your mind isn't just where your thoughts live. It's where universes are born. Write that down. When your mind is chaotic, your world becomes chaotic. When your mind is clear, your world becomes precise. When your mind is singular, your world bows to your will. That's why overthinking is so dangerous. Because it's not just mental noise, it's a spiritual virus designed to fragment your energy, to keep you living in reaction instead of creation, to distract you from the infinite power lying dormant inside you. Understand this. Overthinking is the mind's rebellion against transformation. It's the part of you that fears becoming someone new. Because becoming someone new means dying to who you've been, and all identities cling to life. But here's the ultimate truth. The real you, the infinite, powerful, untouchable you, cannot die. Your essence is eternal. Only your limitations die. Only your old stories die. Only your fears die. So when you feel the spiral starting, when the thoughts start spinning, multiplying like shadows, pause. Remind yourself, this is my old frequency trying to survive. And then ask, who do I choose to be right now? Because all reality hinges on that question. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Because time is an illusion. Your subconscious lives in the eternal present. So if you want to transform your world, be the new you now. Feel it, act from it, speak from it, think from it. Because overthinking can only survive if you remain in indecision. But the moment you decide, really decide, the old frequency shatters like glass under pressure. So let's tie this all together. Overthinking begins with unfinished thoughts. It's weaponized by your old frequency to keep you trapped. It fragments your energy, scattering your power. It masquerades as caution, wisdom, or perfectionism. It's rooted in a subconscious that doesn't know time. And it dies the instant you act from your future self. Because action collapses the old timeline. It declares to the universe, I am no longer who I was. And the universe must comply. Because the laws of reality are not negotiable. As within, so without. So here's the final question. Who are you choosing to be? Not in theory, not in your journal, not someday. Now, because your mind isn't just a battlefield, it's the blueprint of worlds. Master it, and you become unstoppable. Because the spiritual science of overthinking isn't just about calming your mind. It's about reclaiming your throne as the architect of reality. And when you do, nothing and no one can keep you small. So the next time the spiral begins, smile. Because it means you're standing at the gates of your next level. And the old frequency knows its time is up. This is your moment. Step through